I just remember being like, I'm going to get a degree that I can do in 3.5 years. My best friend, she was a med student, and I knew she had all those years ahead. And I was like, no, thank you. Like, that's not for me. I don't need to learn anymore. I'm good after this. I'll just learn in my career. How naive was I? Welcome to the Confident Podcast. I am Lisa Tarkington, your guide to mastering confidence and leadership. As a business and life coach, keynote speaker, and the driving force behind LEAD, I am here to help you break free from self-doubt, silence the imposter syndrome, and step into your power as the person you're meant to be. If you press play today, it's because you're ready for something bigger. Each week, I'll bring you real, raw conversations and actionable insights that will empower you to redefine your leadership, reclaim your confidence, and transform into the unstoppable force you've always known that you could be. This isn't just another podcast. It's a journey we're on together. So buckle up and let's dive into this transformation. Your next level awaits. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of the Confident Podcast. I am your host, Lisa Tarkington, and it is March. I cannot even believe I'm saying that. We are 3 months into the year. Michigan's been a little bit colder than what I would have preferred. You know, it's funny. I've lived here my whole life, and I still can't get used to the cold. But we're here in March. That means that spring's around the corner. My husband and I spent some time in Florida. Just recently, we always plan a trip. Well, we try to plan a trip February or March, especially when it's a little bit colder in Michigan where we're located. And we started to do this a few years ago when we first started to date before we got married. And honestly, it was just really good for my mental health. So being in Florida was amazing. Last year, we didn't do a trip, and I know that we both regretted it. So actually, that's not true. We went to New Zealand last year, now that I'm saying that. It was the year prior to that. We didn't, and we always regretted that to giving up 1 year. So every year we make this commitment to ourselves. So I just wanted to say, like, that was one of the most incredible experiences, is to know, like, something to look forward to, something warm for us. And if you are someone who just kind of needs that break, like, I highly suggest taking it, because for me, like, the winter months can really get to me if I'm not, like, you know, getting some warmth, getting that, you know, vitamin D, all of that kind of stuff. And so for me, those are just like moments that really I appreciate, and just getting to spend some quality time together. So that's kind of like a life update for you guys. I love to give updates when I'm doing solo podcasts. Yes, I should probably preference, we're going to do a solo podcast today. I don't have a guest. We're going to be diving into an amazing topic, one that I'm like super pumped about. I'll tell you guys about that in a second. But life update. Yeah, I just got back from Florida. Amazing trip, super fun. And I just feel like I'm in a whole new segment of my life. I think last March when I was on this podcast, and I remember even the previous month or previous March before, so March 2023. Remember, I actually like was telling you guys how like emotional I was and all the things that I was going through. 2024 was like time of change. My nonprofit changed our name to LEAD. In March of 2024, we hired someone new for our organization, and it was a very like change-oriented time. Looking into this month right now, it's kind of like this like steady boat, just kind of like chugging along, because in the past years, I've had so much change that I really wanted to make sure that while I'm trying to get, you know, more of an expert in what I do, more in my career, who I am as a person, I'm doing it more consistently than the ups and downs. I also learned so much about myself last year that I'm taking all of that and bringing that into 2025. And I've shared about my ins and outs for the year. I've shared with you guys so many great things happening, and I promise to continue to do that, because there is some really good momentum going on in my life, but I think it's because of habits that I've put into my life, habits that I've changed, habits that I've taken from other people that, like, you know, experts, books I've read, all of that to really bring me to where I am today. And that's why I think today's topic is going to be so fun. So I decided to look into, well, what are the habits that you hear from people all the time that are habits that we should have. So I thought about it and I was like, what are the top 6? I need to know what the top 6 are. So I did a lot of research on what are the top 6 habits that people have, and then also just kind of giving you guys like my finesse on them. If I agree with them, if I don't agree with them, how do I incorporate that into my life? And then how do you incorporate these habits into your life? Because if people are saying these are the top habits to have, they're working. You know, these things aren't just top rated across the world for no reason. It's because time and time again, they've worked for people. I think the difference the spin that I'm already going to take on today is giving you like my point of view, but also teaching you how to be authentic to these habits for yourself so that they work. I'm reading right now. It's taken me a while to read this book, and it's not because it's not a good book. It's just life. I'm reading The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. It's been amazing so far. I've learned so much about myself. And she had a habit for a long time. And I remember a couple of months ago when her book came out, it was a habit that people were starting to pick up about their of just like new routines. And it's really cool for me to see how people are incorporating them into your life. So without further ado, let's dive into what the 6 habits are that they're saying are the best ones to have. So we're going to start right off with the number one. The main one, I would say, is a morning routine. And you can read this in the 4-Hour Workweek book. You can read this in the Miracle Morning. Heck, Mel Robbins even has one called the 5-4-3-2-1. I think there's one called the 5 a.m. Club. Like there's so many things that say the morning routine is key. And honestly, I agree with all of these people. And the reason why I agree with them is because it sets your tone for the rest of the day. Now, I have my own routine, and I'll share with you guys my routine here in a second because I really feel like it's a ritual for me, and I think my week's kind of like off when I don't do it. But it's starting your morning off with intention. So, you know, what is your tone for the rest of the day? How is it going to look? This can also include for you, like maybe you start off in the morning, no phone in the morning. So that one's hard for people because we definitely love to scroll in the morning. I think we're in that like area of life for a lot of people. It's also about when your alarm goes off, making sure instead of hitting snooze 10 times, which sometimes I really like to do, but it's hitting it. And what Mel Robbins says is like count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and jump out of bed. I follow Sydney Adams on social. If you don't follow her, she's amazing. She shares her morning routine and she has it down to a pattern as well. But it's about like going to the gym, meditating, walking, journaling, finding something in the morning that kind of just like makes you breathe for a second and really just kind of like sets you up to have a successful day. I'm really big on intention setting. So this is another thing that you can do is set the intention, write it down, talk it out loud. What are the things and the intentions that you have for the day? And these are all ways that you can incorporate it. So you can wake up whatever time you want, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Some people wake up at 4:15. I was reading the other day about that. And I was like, yeah, that's just not for me. And then some people wake up at 7 a.m. Like some people have to rush their kids out the door, all of these things. So some people have an hour. Some people have 45 minutes, some have 30, and some have 10 minutes. So you choose what works best for you, but those are some ways to add into your morning routine to set yourself up for success. Now, how I do it is I don't have kids. I have 2 dogs. So I love to just wake up. First thing I do is spend some time with my dogs. And when I say spend some time with them, it's like 10 minutes, right? Like I'm feeding them, letting them out, giving them all the pets in the world, all the kisses in the world. And then I have my AG1, which if you've listened to this podcast for a long time is a sponsor. I'm obsessed with them. I have my coffee. And then I do something probably a little bit different. I don't work out in the morning. I used to. I don't anymore. It's just something that's changed in my life, and it just hasn't been something that I've been motivated to do in the morning. I don't read in the morning. What I do is actually set out my blocks of time for the rest of the day and set my intention for the day. What are the key things I have to get done, and what are the nice to-dos, and then block my time out for the day. And then for me, my morning routine is actually, I love to get right to work. And that's probably going to be something that a lot of people would say, like, don't do. But for me, morning is when I have the juices. And so for me, that's something that I've had to really just be okay with my morning routine. Because if I'm reading, if I'm exercising, all my brain is doing is thinking about all the things I have to get done. So because I don't have to run kids off to the daycare or pack lunches or anything like that, I can do that. Now, I know that that's not how everybody works, and I'm very that's just the era of my life right now. But one of the things that I would say has been life-changing for me is if I have creative thoughts in the morning and I have an early morning meeting that I, can't get right to the content work, writing those thoughts down, writing my time blocks out in intention. That takes me a total of 10 minutes. So even if you can block that time off, I would highly recommend that. So find a morning routine that works for you. Now, in my different eras of my life, I know that's going to change. When I was in my 20s, I used to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning and go work out. And then I would go, take my shower, take care of myself, and then go to work. It's just changed now, and that's okay. But finding a habit that you want to stick to in the morning is going to be a game changer to set yourself up for success. So that's number one, find a morning routine and set that up into habit. You can also read those books that I shared. I'll also put them in the show notes to really help you. The second one, daily exercise. So you can add this into your morning routine if you want to. But there's people that are entrepreneurs, that are authors and motivational speakers. Literally, as I was driving to record this, I was listening to a podcast about a guy who is really doing well for himself. I think he owns 10 businesses now. And he said the number one life-changing thing that happened for him to attract money, to attract the things in life, was to do daily exercise. That he said exercise was the game changer for mental clarity, for his mood, for his energy levels, and to manage stress. And all that did was project him to the next level in his career. And as I was listening to that, knowing that we were going to have this podcast, I started to laugh because it is really easy to tell ourselves, I'll just work out tomorrow. I'll just do that tomorrow. Raise your hand if you're like that. Or, I raise mine because I can do that sometimes of I'll just do another rest day. But what I've noticed is when I have added exercise into my life, even if it's 15 minutes, I am a whole different person. So my lull in the day is usually about 2 p.m. It's when I get antsy because usually I like to get my work done really early. I have noticed that even if I take 30 minutes to go work out, I have all this energy and this creative mindset that comes back for me, to finish everything that I was working on. And so I think that is a habit that I'm proud to add into my life. And I'll share here in a second how I really incorporate this into my life and have made it a habit. But how you can do it is either find a workout fitness group to join. That's how I started. I started to join fitness groups and group fitness so that I actually was committed because I was paying for something until I found my rhythm and other things. Running clubs are amazing. Walking clubs are amazing. And maybe you're a very busy person where you're I don't know where to fit it. I always tell people, look at where you have 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I used to think that you had to work out for an hour and a half. I used to think you had to work out for an hour. And that's just not obtainable for my life right now. I am really grateful when I get 30 minutes to 40 minutes. The other day, how I got my exercise is I put my laptop on one of those standing things that you can put on a treadmill, and I walked for 30 minutes while I worked because I knew that was going to be the only time that I was going to be able to get it in. Maybe you have a busy day and by night you're not going to be able to do it. So add that to your morning routine. Or maybe your mornings are so crazy that you can do it at lunch. Do it at your lunch. And maybe your whole day is so crazy. You're Lisa, I don't even know when to find time. And I'm just going to call you out on that because I can always find time to scroll. I can always find time to sit and do mindless things. And so I have found that if I can have time to do those things, I can have time to add daily exercise into my life. And not only that, but the benefits. There's so many benefits to exercise. And I don't even have to go through the list because you all know, the importance of daily exercise. You see it in people who do exercise and how motivated they are in their energy levels. And for me, how I incorporate this habit into my life is, like I said, I don't do them in the mornings anymore. I would love to get back to that, but in the morning, my brain's just not there, and I've had to be okay with that because I used to really be hard on myself for that. I have found my sweet spot to be mid-afternoon if I'm very lucky and can slip away for an hour. If not, then I'm doing it at 5 p.m. Because again, like that's what works for me. And I make sure that I do it. I sometimes used to be like, I'll just wait till the weekend. And then weekends would come and you can always make an excuse. So I have noticed myself to be a lot mentally just a better person when I exercise. And so I know that's a habit that you should definitely incorporate into your life. Taking care of your health isn't always easy, but it should at least be simple. For me, the journey to feeling my best has always been about small, sustainable habits. That's why for the last 4 years, I've made AG1 part of my daily routine. Actually, it's part of my whole household's routine every morning. It's just 1 scoop mixed with cold water every morning, no exceptions. It's my go-to for a simple yet powerful way to support my health and feel energized for the day ahead. With AG1, I'm covering my daily dose of essential vitamins, minerals, and pre and probiotics, and much, much more. And it's all in 1 step. So I have noticed for myself, I have much better improved digestion, I'm in a healthier mood, and I have more energy. And let's be honest, when I feel my best, I can give my best to my friends and my family and work. And that's why AG1 is not just a product I use, but it's part of my commitment to self-love and taking care of myself. What I love most about it is how easy it is to stay consistent. If I'm at home, I mix a scoop of AG1 into my water first thing in the morning, especially before coffee. And if I'm on the go, I have my individual travel packs ensured I never miss a day. It's just a small benefit that adds up to big benefits, and that's why I just love AG1. So with this new year, try AG1 for yourself. It's the perfect time to start a new healthy habit. As a special offer, AG1 is giving new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. That includes a welcome kit, a year's supply of vitamin D3 and K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So visit drinkag1.com/theconfident to grab yours today. That's drinkag1.com/theconfident. Let's start this year off a little bit healthier. Let's face it, personal growth can feel overwhelming. With so much advice out there, how do you even know where to start? That's exactly why we created Lead Within. It's a one-stop platform designed to help you build confidence, tackle self-doubt, and grow in ways that feels real and achievable. Whether you're navigating challenges in your career, working on resilience in your personal life, or looking for tools to support your family's growth, Lead Within is here for you. From actionable resources to guided content, it's packed with strategies that make progress simple, one step at a time. And because life doesn't wait, we're constantly adding fresh tools to meet you where you are. For a limited time, you can join for just $5. Use the code podcast50 at leadwithin.leadconfidently.org to get 50% off your first month. So why wait? Your next step toward confidence and growth is just a click away. Visit leadwithin.leadconfidently.org to get started today. All right, number 3, reading and lifelong learning. This one is a habit that I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I remember when I was in college, I wanted to get my degree and be done with learning. I was over it. I went to Michigan State University, so go green, and I finished in 3.5 years because that's how much I hated going to school. I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I loved all the other stuff that came with college, but I just didn't really enjoy learning. And I think it was because I didn't understand, if you think about it, college, you still are doing all the subjects. I still had to do a lot of the general classes, not just the thing that made me excited. And I just remember being like, I'm going to get a degree that I can do in 3.5 years. My best friend, she was a med student, and I knew she had all those years ahead. And I was like, no, thank you. Like, that's not for me. I don't need to learn anymore. I'm good after this. I'll just learn in my career. How naive was I? I was very naive because I will tell you, I have never learned more in my life than what I have in the last probably like 15 years of just being in my like early 30s now. So Bill Gates is a huge one who is an advocate for reading and lifelong learning. Warren Buffett. And these are names that you've probably heard of. Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon. All of these individuals are lifelong learners. Every entrepreneur that I follow, investor that I follow, self-improvement individuals that I look up to, all of them have something to say when it comes to reading, to lifelong learning. And it's because they stay curious. They're up to date on what's going on in the world. It's helped them broaden their knowledge. It's improved decision-making, and it inspires creativity. And so for me, this is something that I had to learn because I remember kind of getting stale or stalling in my career. And I remember thinking like, what am I missing out on? And it was because I wasn't learning anything anymore. I just was kind of going through the motions like some of us do. And so this has been a game changer for me. And I'll dive into that in a second. But how you can incorporate this into your life is you don't have to read something that you don't want to read. So find things that interest you. Try things. Like if you are like, you know what, I want to learn this new skill, go and learn it. You might change your mind halfway through and be like, I actually don't enjoy this, then change it again. But it's about learning things to not only broaden your knowledge, but broaden your perspective, be able to meet new folks. And also like it will help you so much in your personal and professional life if you continue to want to learn and you continue to want to read. Honestly, some of the best conversations that I've had have been like, hey, did you read that book? And we have conversation about it and we give our different perspectives. That doesn't always mean that the book has to be a self-improvement book. Sometimes it's just like a fun book, but it's really good to engage with people as well. And how I incorporate that into my life is, I still take breaks. Like I wouldn't say that I read all the time. I've been kind of going through a kick right now where I am. It still takes me a long time to read books just because of life, but I do enjoy it. I think the lifelong learning though for me is now that I've like found more of my zone of genius, I just want to get more of the expert piece in there. So my learning is learning from other experts, having conversations with people that are smarter than me, taking classes about maybe a new skill that might help me with leadership, or maybe learning from someone that I aspire to be like. And so lifelong learning can look like from a skill. It can learn from just like experience with someone, learning from an expert, but this has been a game changer in my career, to be honest. And it's opened doors for me like I never expected because I am learning the knowledge to help myself grow. And so that's how I incorporate. I have a goal every year of what I want to accomplish. I remember telling my husband in 2024 that I really didn't want to like spend too much more money on self-improvement stuff. I just wanted to take a break. And January hit and I was like, just kidding. Like we're going to dive fully into this. And so I'm in a coaching program right now for myself, even though I do coach people. I think I have to be a lifelong learner as well. And I'm getting more certifications. So again, reading and lifelong learning is the next one. Okay. I think we're on to number 4. We're on to number 4. And that is my favorite. I love that this is on here for habits. It's time blocking and prioritization. Makes me so happy when I was doing the research and reading things and being like, this is it. Like I finally am doing a habit that's on these things. And one is people who have talked about this is Cal Newport, the author of Deep Work. Stephen Covey, he is the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That book has been life-changing for so many people, especially people that I look up to. They have talked very highly of that book. And so time blocking and prioritization really is just a game changer. Like, I'm just going to be honest. I was a procrastinator forever. Now, if you met me, you'd be like, she's not a procrastinator. She gets stuff done. But I would choose what I avoided, or I would do everything last minute. I remember when I worked in corporate, I'd always have these deadlines and I would just make them off the surface, because I was like, I'll just do that later, right? The deadline's in a couple of days. I know I can just scurry through it. And that was a mindset I had for a long time until I started to run my own business. And I have learned so much about setting time aside for specific actions in my life, personal, professionally, because it helps you so much with productivity. And it really does help with burnout, because you're focused you're on the importance for the day. So you could prioritize and time block for the day. You can do it for the week. You can look at your schedule and be like, what do I have to do personally and professionally? And then looking at, how do I do all of this? And I've talked a lot about this habit on this podcast multiple times, because this has been a game changer for my confidence. Now, confidence is all about your skills and your abilities, but time blocking has allowed me to refocus on what's important, where to delegate, where do I want to spend my time. And it's really a big shocker when you really start to look back at like where you're focusing your time. I mean, honestly, like I could spend a whole half day scrolling on TikTok if like I didn't have to do things. And I know that if you don't time block, time can get away from you. And so how you can incorporate this into your life. So I've talked a lot about this already on the podcast. So some of this might be redundant for those who have been lifelong listeners. If you're new, welcome to this new information. But one thing I did for a long time is I would take my whole week, and every day I would color code every action that I did based off of like what department it fit under. Is it coaching? Is it my personal life? Is it something that I have to do as a director for my organization? Is it something that I have to do for programs? So like, just, you guys know your role better than I do, but like I would color code all of that. And then at the end, what I would do is look at how much time was like allocated to each thing. And that was really eye-opening for me to be like, oh, wow, this week I focused a lot more on X than I should have. Okay. So then I had that self-awareness to reflect and be like, what do I need to do differently next week to prioritize the more important things and put those things as like the nice to haves? Because I was noticing I was doing all like the nice to have things doing, and then the prioritizing or the most important things second. So I really needed to reverse that within my career. The other thing I noticed was the hours that I was working on certain things, and could I tighten it up, or do I need to be more realistic about my expectations for myself? And then the other thing is it really helped me see where I was spending my time personally and professionally. Where was I giving my family time? Where was I giving my friends time? Where was I giving work time? And so that is a great way to start. That is something I did for months to figure it out. I still actually just recently brought that back in for a week because I needed to have a few reminders. But now what I do is I look at my week and I think about, what are the 3 things I have to get done this week? What are the things that can kind of like go to the wayside? And also I time block, like I said, with my morning routine. And so that's how you can incorporate it into your life. That's how I do it. So I'm back to time blocking right now. Like that's been huge for me. Literally before I even came to record the podcast, I was up really early this morning. I usually do it at night. Sometimes I do it in the morning, and I time blocked everything. And then the cool satisfaction of just crossing it off. I have things of people that I need to call, wrote those down, cross those off. Feels pretty good when you can do those things. So number 5, gratitude practice. So I already brought up Oprah. Oprah talks a lot about gratitude. Sean Anker, the author of The Happiness Advantage. And honestly, I don't know someone who has been a high performer at a certain level who hasn't practiced gratitude. I have been doing a lot of research on people that I admire and where they focus their time and energy. And they're not negative Nancy's. If they are, they're probably only successful for a little bit, because that can only last for so long. But it's about focusing on the positives in life that lead to better mental health, resilience, and happiness. And when you can be and sharing more gratitude in your life, you just appreciate the small things. You know, the other day I was out for coffee with someone, and I just adore this woman. She was one of my first leaders when I worked at a corporation, and we've just stayed really good friends. I mean, we're 30 years apart, and every time I'm with her, I'll bring up like, so I've been like feeling this way, and she'll just give me a different perspective about gratitude. Well, we have to look at it from this point of view. Like, you're so lucky that you get to do X, Y, Z. And it just is a good reminder of where is our perspective when it comes to what are we really grateful for. The other day, also, I was listening to a celebrity, and I look at him and I'm like, he's got it made. He can go to all these NFL games. He's on all of these like talk shows. He's written 3 books. He has a successful podcast. And he said that he would give it all up if he could have a family. And there was a moment of like a reflection for me of how much gratitude do I actually give to my family a lot, right? And it was a moment that like we have to remember that every day is a gift, and to what was a good thing and a positive thing that happened, because we can list the negatives. And if we can list the negatives, we better be listing the positives as well. And so how to incorporate this into your life? So people are going to tell you, and these are habits that I've heard a lot, like start your morning off with what are you grateful for? End your night with what you're grateful for. Pick one of those, maybe do it midday. I think that works. Hands down, agree with every individual. There's a lot of research behind those things too. They work. You start your morning off really strong. You end your night really strong. Like, what an amazing thing to do. I would incorporate that if I was someone, because I think that that's a really good habit to have in your nightly routine or your morning routine. However, that is just not something that I'm doing in my day. So how I incorporate it is probably almost like every time I have a reflection moment throughout the day, or after a busy day, I give myself 15 minutes to just reflect on what went well. Now, I do this every day. Absolutely not. That is one habit that I need to get better at. But I think that every couple of days, or, Lisa, you've had a long week. Have you even sat down to appreciate the people around you, or appreciate the people that have picked up because you were so busy that you couldn't do it all? Or are you appreciating yourself for what you just accomplished? So you can look at it in a variety of different ways. For me, it's more of a pause once a week, pause every other day, and reflect and put that gratitude out there. The other thing that I do as well, and I'm still working on this, is more positive gratitude to other people. And like, thank you for doing this for me. Like, you have no idea how much I appreciate that. Or just giving them more direction, because I think sometimes when we hear people say, you did such a good job, that is gratitude. But like, who doesn't want to hear you did such a good job because you taught me this, right? Like, helping someone kind of have more specific gratitude is really a habit to get into as well. All right, the last one. Number 6 is evening reflections and planning. So I kind of like I've already played into these a little bit, but this is from the 5 a.m. Club. You can also read that, or John Maxwell. He is such a leadership expert. He talks a lot about this. So it's about ending your night with reflecting on the day's successes and failures. It's also noticing what is your set vision for tomorrow, and then planning the next day in advance to help you. Now, I already shared that the morning routine, you can do those things. Sometimes if I have time, like I like to get those things done at night so that I'm set for the morning, and then I can just like bang things out. You can choose either way. Morning routines and night routines and evening reflection specifically is a really big game changer. Maybe you're married and you can reflect with your husband or wife or partner. Maybe you have children. Use this time to reflect with them. What was good for them? What was bad for them? What was a learning moment? What was a win for them that day? And when you can do that with people, it's pretty amazing. That's one way to incorporate that into your life. The other way is like a lot of, for me, is I'm with people all day. And so I like my nights to kind of reflect for myself. I mean, I still do it with my husband, or maybe I'm talking to my mom on the phone or someone, but it's having that reflection time to notice like, man, I really didn't bring my energy to that meeting today. okay, how am I going to do better? Or that was an amazing day. Like literally the other day, I was talking to my husband on the phone. I'm like, I got to tell you about my day. It was just amazing. Nothing crazy happened, but I wanted to reflect because it was I felt so positive all day. I was like, how do I incorporate that into the next day? So when you spend your evenings, even if that means 10 minutes, right? Like I am not saying all of this has to be rocket science. This is not rocket science. These are little things to add into your life 10 minutes to reflect on the day and plan for tomorrow. Maybe you have a little bit more time, like whatever works for you. And that's what I really want to recap. Like we just went over 6 habits that are game changers. They're huge. Everybody, like all of these famous people do it. When I say famous people, I mean people that like I really look up to. So I think they're famous. And they have written books on these. They've done research on this stuff. These habits do work. But we're really good sometimes of making excuses. And I've done a podcast about stop talking about it and start doing. And that's what I want you to think about is just pick one of these habits, one of them. And maybe you're like, yeah, I already do the morning routine. Okay, then is it working or do you need to make changes? Maybe you're saying, well, Lisa, I already do time blocking and prioritization. Great. Is it working? And if these things are working in your life, that doesn't mean that you have to change it. You just have to flex sometimes with different eras of our lives, but you can always add a routine. So for me, as I'm reflecting on these, I'm like, I could do a little bit better at probably the gratitude practice. I could do a little bit better at, how my morning routine might look in the future. Like, what do I need to do a little bit differently so that I'm continuously growing as a person? And so if you take anything away from this podcast today, I want you to take away is these are habits that are highly effective. They work for people. They work for me. There's so many examples of individuals who have been successful. And when I say success, I mean in their career, but I also mean personally as well with happiness, with just, overall just having good mental and physical well-being. And if you take anything away, it's knowing that these work and then finding how you're going to incorporate this into your life. So I shared how I do it. I gave you some examples how you can use it, but I cannot wait to hear from all of you on how you're going to change your life with these habits. And maybe you're already doing them, and I'd love to hear that as well. So let's just end today with a challenge for all of us. And the challenge is pick one routine to add into your life, or there's going to be an or with this challenge, or look at one of the routines that you currently have and figure out how you can make it a little bit better for yourself, because we are on this journey together to grow in confidence, self-improvement, loving ourselves, growing as humans in our leadership. It doesn't matter where you are in your life, what age you are. These are habits that can start right now. So let's do it. So if you haven't subscribed to our podcast yet, please do. Follow us on Apple, follow us on YouTube, Spotify. We're everywhere. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think of the show. DM me at Lisa Tarkington official on Instagram. I want to hear what you think of this podcast, how it's resonating with you. And if you want to work with me directly, please reach out to my DMs. I have a wait list right now for my coaching clients. So please get on that wait list. I help a lot with personal, professional growth, business growth, and then, life coaching. And then we also have this amazing Lead Within platform that is literally transforming lives. I will one day share all of the stories of how it's impacting lives, and I can't wait for that. But the stories that I've heard about people overcoming limiting beliefs for the first time, finding their purpose, has been outstanding. And that is on your own time. And those are great things to add into these habits that we just talked about. So as I always say at every podcast, continue to spread love and kindness to everybody that you meet, and have a great day. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Confident Podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, head over to leadconfidently.org for today's show notes along with discounts to our services. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram and YouTube at The Confident Podcast. Your feedback means the world to me, and it helps more people discover the show. And hey, if you're feeling inspired to dive deeper, let's connect. You can find me on Instagram at Lisa Tarkington Official. Drop me a message and let's explore how I can support your journey to confidence and leadership. Remember, you have the power to choose confidence every single day. Keep showing up, keep striving, and keep believing in your potential. I'm cheering you on, and I'll see you next time.